Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. I'm Art, ex-family scapegoat, ex-black sheep, ex-devil child and evil character. And today I want to talk to you guys about something that so many of us scapegoated survivors of narcissistic parenting have experienced. And this is watching our abusers praise other people, showing empathy towards other people, admire other people, while at the same time psychologically and emotionally destroying their own targeted child. Even giving support to other people, right? While at the same time you get no support, and instead you get bashed, you get basically dismantled completely, and your dreams are bashed, everything about you is evil. And having this dual personality as you watch this unfold before you, it can really make us, as we grow up in this, wonder, what's wrong with us? Why do we not deserve our own parents' love? Why can't they treat us the same way that they treat strangers or the golden child? For example, one example was when I had just graduated from college, and I had spoken a little bit to them to my family about wanting to travel for the first time, because I grew up very poor. We never traveled anywhere. And, my mother came up to me, and right away it was the bashing, the festival of, you're crazy, what are you doing? You'll never learn, with that contempt, that face she always had when she talked down to me. You'll never learn anything. What do you think you're doing? This is stupid. You're going to get kidnapped. You're going to die. This is stupid. Anyways, it was just this entire bashing of something so normal, really, something that everybody does in their life, And, many years later, I was still in contact at that time, and she came up to me with her tablet, and she showed me Facebook. This is a cousin that you don't know. Isn't she cool? Look at how she's traveling. Look at all the pictures she posts on Facebook of all her travels. Wow, isn't she beautiful? She looks, she's so amazing. The fights and the stress that she would put on me every single time, And meanwhile, this cousin is traveling, and wow, look how beautiful it is, I have so many stories like this. In fact, my entire life is based on having these sort of fights with her, from her siding with ex-boyfriends after, if I had my heart broken by a boyfriend or by a friend, then she would suddenly praise the person who broke my heart, And I'm also talking about this experience of, as a survivor, as a child of this person, you watch them have such a twisted view of who you are and your position in the family. They will behave as if having you in their life is a terrible misfortune for them, and that you're evil and ungrateful. And and then when somebody comes in, they're so nice to them. And so many of us scapegoated children, we actually really did try so hard to be there for them, to serve them, to actually give them what they wanted, but it was never enough. And if you give a little bit, they will take and take and take and take and take. And the second that you say, actually, I can't give anymore, I gotta, put a break on this, then you're evil and you're a monster and you're ungrateful. And they will behave as if what you give is never, ever, ever, ever enough, even though you really gave it your all, but you also have to live your life, you know what I mean? And then as you watch this, you did make efforts to please them, and then they reject you, and then all of a sudden you watch other people that have that they never took care of them, they never sat through, they didn't grow up with them, in the same household. And they will come in, and all of a sudden, they will seem to have this emotional connection with those people. For example, another woman that will be my age, and that's so nice. And then I'll see my mother with this this beautiful relationship with another girl my age, and she's so nice, and it's like, this painful pattern that, just like I said, it leaves us wondering, why are we not good enough for our own parents while everybody else seems to shine in their eyes? Now, the answer to this actually lies in the dynamics of narcissism. So just off the bat, I want to tell you, if you've experienced this, it actually has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with how worthy or unworthy we are. It has everything to do with their narcissism. Now, narcissistic parents, as you most likely know, will not see their own children as separate individuals or independent people. They see them as extensions of themselves. And we become like props in their story. If there's multiple children in the house, they will assign roles to us, right? You got the scapegoat, the representative of everything that's ever gone wrong in their life and that they hate and all that. And of course, you got the golden child, right? The representative of everything that's great in the family. And you as a scapegoat will also watch them treat the golden child's achievements very, very, very differently from your own achievements. So what's important to understand is, they don't treat all achievements the same. They may celebrate the golden child's accomplishments as proof of their own greatness, while completely dismissing and minimizing and even punishing the scapegoat's accomplishments. And this is true. And the difference actually comes down to what threatens them versus what props up their image. And this is very important to understand. And it took me years to grasp this concept because, as a scapegoat, we're always trained to feel like we're unworthy, we're damaged, there's something wrong with us. So to have this thought that actually our qualities are a threat to a narcissistic parent, and they know it, this is mind-boggling that a parent would behave this way towards their own child, but that's their reality, So in my case, I'm female, and I was everything that my mother was not, okay? My mother could never hold a job. She didn't take care of herself physically. She spent her days at home, creating drama after drama after drama, refusing to get help. And I was everything that my mother was not, okay? From my early childhood, I was outgoing, I was stubborn, I climbed trees, I was curious, I made friends easily, I had I would make friends with anybody, I was super social, and I had passions, I had interests, I got a job, as soon as I came of age to get a job, and I held my job. I've always had work, And her, on the other hand, she never took care of herself physically or emotionally. She spent her days at home blaming the world for everything. At one point she got a job, but she didn't keep it because, of course, anybody that sees, she basically can't handle any kind of criticism, constructive criticism, as is typical of narcissists. And when she got her job, she was expecting literally to have the red carpet laid down before her. And of course, that's not how the world works. You got to work, and then there's a team, and there's a boss, and there's dynamics, and she couldn't handle it. And I even remember talking to my dad about the fact that why she can't hold a job. She's, and then he would tell me because they're mean to her. He really as a good enabler. She can't get a job because they're so mean to her. They're mean to her, and I'm like, they're mean to her? Really? This is why she, really? Really? So, the whole family just rolls with it, eh? That's what a narcissistic family system is, And so she would spend her days at home refusing to get help, refusing to get therapy, refusing to engage socially, refusing to do healthy activities. And when she saw me do those things as a female, it was right away, it was always this competition of I'm better than you, she would always tell me, even after the first career I ever did, I graduated from nursing for animals, animal health technician program. I did that in the beginning before I switched career, and it was a science program. And my God, I can't even tell you the competition and how she would bash me and how she would bash my knowledge. She would, when people found out, family friends found out that I was an animal health technician, they would call, her and ask to speak to me because I was her daughter, because they had questions about, their animals and they needed help. I never once saw that phone. She'll be, oh, you want to speak to my daughter about what? Oh, your animal. And then she started giving them all this advice because suddenly she was a vet and she was a doctor and she knew everything about animal rescue and all these things. And I was like listening and I was like, can I just have the phone and speak to this person? What you're telling them is insane. But I never got a chance to, to get the phone and give them proper advice that I knew from school, from working with vets and that kind of thing, And then she would hang up and I would get mad at her. I'm like, why don't you just give me the phone? Like, what you're telling them is insane. You're gonna, this is not good advice. And she'd yell at me that she has university. I have university. She studied plants. But apparently plants and animals are like the same thing. I don't know. She competed with me constantly. No matter what I did. If I traveled, she punished me. If I succeeded academically, she minimized me. It didn't matter what it was. She always had to make me feel smaller because in her mind, my achievements was a direct threat to her role as a woman, to the matriarch of the family. And my brother, on the other hand, was very different. He's male. And his role in the family wasn't one of competition with her. He went into a field that she didn't. It wasn't like a biology type field initially. It was something else, And he was pushed towards success ever since he was small. He reflected very well on her. He fit the image that she wanted to project, but he didn't trigger the same insecurities in her that I did as a woman, So she could praise him openly and consistently without envy because it wasn't the same kind of competition. And the really sad part is also how narcissists will, get the whole family on board with how they treat their scapegoat in regards to, how inadequate they are compared to other people. Because when she praised another family member, the child of my brother, and pushed her into going into a science program. And I said to my brother, wow, she's lucky, at least she didn't get bashed like I was when I went into a science program. And my brother's response was, that's because, she's smart and she has good grades on IQ. So, it's just the whole collective mindset around who you are as a person, And this is the kind of brainwashing that the narcissistic family creates. And the scapegoat grows up under that brainwashing, often with their confidence, self-esteem, and even like their sense of self completely destroyed, completely dismantled. So the psychology behind this is really that the narcissistic parent will relate to their children based on how these children impact their fragile sense of self. So if your success makes them feel inadequate, if it pushes a button of something they couldn't accomplish for themselves, something that they wish they had, if it triggers their jealousy, because yes, the basis of it really is this insane jealousy, this envy, so if you trigger that, they're going to try and tear you down. But if the success is not related to them whatsoever, if it makes them look good without threatening them, then they'll show that person off. And this is why siblings can grow up in the same house and have such different experiences. One child may be endlessly praised, while another one is constantly devalued. So this is not about fairness. It's not even about the children themselves. It's not about somebody being smart and somebody being stupid. It doesn't work like that. And by the way, intelligence is really, there's different kinds of intelligence, okay? One person can be good at something, another person will be good at something else, right? I mean, you can't compare these things. Everybody has different talents. And of course, as a parent, you nurture your child's talents, whatever they may be. You don't call them stupid, And so, they will punish us. They will withdraw affection. They will minimize. They will lash out. And it's not about who you are, but it's about how you threaten them and how you inadvertently threaten their sense of self. How your qualities trigger, that part of them that hates themselves. When somebody else's child or somebody else in their life comes over or achieves something or has a conversation with them, they will feel safe to admire that person because there's no competition. And in fact, praising strangers, other people's kids, that kind of thing actually helps them because it helps their image. It makes them look generous and kind, while they secretly reinforce the message that their own scapegoated child is never going to be good enough because that's their belief system. And this is why it feels so twisted. You can achieve the same things as your peers. Sometimes you can achieve even more. And instead of being celebrated, you're going to be ignored or punished, because of their envy, because you threaten them. And this is very confusing when you go through it, and it's very painful to have a parent behave like this towards their own child. And it leaves so many of us asking, what's wrong with me? And why am I not good enough? And of course, this affects many of us, career paths, education and that kind of thing, because it gets so embedded within that we're stupid, that they're worthy, and our best qualities are a threat to the family. And so our best qualities become false, and they become things that we become afraid to express or to be, because our best qualities apparently hurt people, And the message is really simple, is other people are admirable, and you, my child, are not. You as my child are not. Other people are. But you are not, and you will never be. Now the thing is that the things that they actually try to bash out of us, like our independence or intelligence, or uniqueness or resilience or stubbornness, right? Or truth-telling, those are actually our greatest strengths. And the more that they try to destroy these parts of us, the more I invite you to realize that this is actually an indicator that those parts of you are powerful enough to threaten them. Because when you stand in your truth, when you follow your passions, when you do well for yourself, a narcissistic parent will behave as if those things are you being oppositional, as though you're difficult and you're a problem and you're causing problems. They will take your best qualities and they will twist them around and they will label them as problems. They will twist them into being problems that destroy relationships, that destroy family. So we can take a moment to look at facts about the scapegoat role and why it's actually assigned to us. Scapegoats are independent thinkers, okay? We question the family's toxic dynamics instead of blindly going along with them as everybody else in the family does. And that takes, clarity of mind. It takes courage. It takes strength to do this. To go, hey, this is not okay. This is not normal. Can we have can we deal with these problems, please, instead of pretending that they don't exist? This is why scapegoats become targeted, okay? Because they are the truth tellers. We name the dysfunction that others deny, and of course, people who are not self-aware, people who don't want to face their own demons will use denial. Denial becomes a defense mechanism. It's a huge defense mechanism, and that's the defense mechanism that actually destroys families. It's not the truth telling. It's not the, hey, let's face our issues, let's figure out what's going on. You know what I mean? But they will twist that around, and scapegoats are also really extremely resilient. We survive years and years and years of being undermined, of being excluded, of being blamed, and yet we keep going. I'm here, you're here, and this takes a lot of strength and a lot of courage. This takes a lot of endurance, and scapegoats are also empathetic. We see pain in other people, even when our own pain is invalidated. Now, this could be a curse, but it's also a strength, And when a narcissistic parent constantly criticizes and sabotages you, it's not because you're weak, it's because your strengths actually expose what they could never be. And they are insanely jealous of this. They see your light, and instead of celebrating it, they actually feel threatened by it. And scapegoats are also cycle breakers, We're usually the ones that say this ends right here. We go no contact, or we fight back, we push back, this ends with me. And again, that takes a huge amount of strength to do, especially if it's you against an entire system. It takes a huge amount of strength to stand alone in your truth, which is what we do. And all of those things are twisted by the narcissistic parent to make it seem like we're crazy, we're oppositional, we're insane. And I'm here to tell you that these are lies, and you can't believe them, because if you believe them, then they will keep you under their control. This is how they keep you weak. This is how they keep control over everybody, is by twisting reality for their own gain. If you've been through this, your accomplishments are real. That, you're a good person. Of course, nobody's perfect, but we're definitely not the evil, monsters that they make us out to be. We are only monsters in their eyes because of their projections, and that they can't face their own demons. They can't face themselves. They can't face their inadequacies. They can't face the truth, the reality. And they do not ask for help. They don't ask for help. They don't admit to their faults. They don't admit to anything that's really going on. It's so much easier to just blame someone for all their problems and then call it a day. That's the easy part. So, you don't have to believe it. And I invite you to really start working very strongly on yourself, on reconnecting with those parts of you that they taught you to hate. Because you're actually not who they say you are. And the most healing thing is actually that you can do for yourself is to not wait for their validation or their praise, because it's not going to come. And even if it does, it's self-centered, and it's all about how it makes them look. It's not about you. And to actually start celebrating your wins for you with safe people, or just simply being proud of yourself, be proud of your accomplishments, and realize that your accomplishments matter big time, and that you are actually the opposite of who they said you are. And the only reason why they say those things to you is because they feel threatened by you. So don't be afraid of your own light. I hope this helped you, and I'll see you soon.